Hi guys, Lady of Misrule here. It has been a very long week and it has been a very eventful week. For those of you who already follow me, you probably already know I am a massive Super Junior fan. I'm getting into New West and there's a lot of Produce 101 drama going on, but that is not the kind of drama I'm talking about today. I am also a relatively new army, I will admit, although my sister's been an army since I think before their debut, so that's kind of crazy. But to be fair, I got into K-pop very recently, and the reason I'm giving you this whole introduction today is because we're not going to be doing a reaction video today. Today, or rather last night, I was up all night waiting to watch BTS go smash it on the billboards. And then after the whole magenta carpet thing, I fell asleep and I was waiting. I was like bated breath. What happens, because there was this whole rumor going on that they might be performing, and I'm in the UK, so I'm living in a dorm, so I don't really have a television, and I wanted to watch it before I read the tweets about it, which obviously didn't happen because the performance didn't happen. But I am so proud of the boys anyway, and having gone through all the videos and all the little snippets that we've been reading, and the tidbits that have been coming out and the Bangtan bombs, I just really my heart felt so I don't know how to put it. It wasn't breaking in a bad way, but it was amazing. I was so touched. I was so touched by how far these boys had come, what they'd done, how humble they were. These are pretty loud kids. Let's be honest, but they toned themselves down for the magenta carpets. They didn't want to be a disappointment, not just because of themselves, but they didn't want to let their fans down. And the way the boys had their fingers crossed, waiting for the award to be announced, even with the mass voting that happened, which they obviously knew about. At one point, you could tell that they wanted it so bad, but not even for themselves. They wanted it for the fans, because they knew the fans had worked so hard. It was just such a beautiful moment, and it was ironic because just a couple of days before the BBMAs, I was watching Cyphers, which is probably the number one thing that got me into BTS, and I was reading some of the articles related to the Cyphers, and I remember coming across this one where Namjoon, or Rapmon, basically talks about how he got this letter from a fan, and how that letter basically shaped the way he sees the concept of being an idol. And I was just so touched. I was like, this is an amazing fandom. This is a fandom where the boys, the artists, grow with their fans, and their fans have a very symbiotic relationship with them. They learn from them, and vice versa. The boys learn from the fans learn from the boys, and that's what a fandom should be. I mean, my ultimate bias group, as I said before, is Super Junior, and like I said, while I did join very late, I have gone through the stories of how Etuk would have to apologize for elves being extra, which, let's admit, early on, we were pretty bad. But that kind of relationship where you take responsibility for each other and you listen to each other, I just realized that was just so rare in K-pop, even though the fandoms are such a big part of the whole K-pop journey. Very few fandoms have that level of interaction with their idols, where they affect or basically can, I don't know how to put it, I want to say have an effect on how they think, but I think more than that, I want to say that they contribute to how they grow. Anyway, so I was watching the the magenta carpet, so the billboards, and at one point I genuinely teared up. I was like, you know what? I'm a writer. So why not put pen to paper and see what happens? Well, why not be a keyboard warrior and see what happens? So I typed up a letter, which is pretty massive, and I'm warning you right now, this is probably going to be a long one, so please be prepared, please don't hate me, but I will put the text down below, but I just wanted to do a video just in case anybody wanted to listen. So yeah, I will start in 3, 2, and 1. Dear BTS, take a seat. Take several. This is going to be a long one, so bear with me. I will address each one of you individually, but before that, I want to say on behalf of the entire fandom, to all of you collectively, that we, ARMYs, are so immensely proud of you. From day one to this very moment, you have done us proud. I won't say never more than today, because there have been many times that I have been more proud. Like when you kept your cool during the B3 controversy, when you put out a song in remembrance of the Seoul Ferry tragedy, when you made mistakes and learned and apologized. So many times, so many moments of pride. But today was one too. Kim Namjoon, leader extraordinaire. This is your team. You led them here and they followed. To you, my message is this. Don't worry about the little things. Don't agonize over the little moments, the tiny grammatical slips, or the moments you felt like you wanted to do better for your team and your fans. Know that every second you agonize, you are forgetting that your fans love you, not because we consider you to be perfect, but because we know you always aspire to be better, and that your aspirations mirror our own. You teach us to try, and to not sweat the tears and the mistakes. We love you unconditionally, so that you can do the same. For today, for just this one day, love yourself as much as you love your friends, fans, and family. Do it for us, so that we can grow together as we have since that first day. Kim Seokjin, the eldest Hyung, the visual king, the cook, the mother, and the very core of Bangtan as we know it. If I had to define what you are to BTS in one word, it would be gravity. You are the weight that holds them down, that keeps them from floundering, the calm in the storm, the safe haven, and their moral compass when they waver. You are, without a doubt, the heart and soul of the group. Did you know you went from being the car door guy to the third guy on the left today? Even the West Coast isn't immune to your visuals. We are so proud. But we are also thankful for all the little sacrifices you've made for the team. I'm sorry, I'm tearing up. For all the little sacrifices that you've made for the team. For all the times you pushed them to shine brighter. For the softly spoken scoldings and always warm hugs. For being there for everyone and leading by example. Thank you. Know that you are looked up to, and the grace and kindness you have shown the boys and the world is something that armies can only hope to emulate in our own personal lives. Min Yoongi, my bias. The Savage King with a heart of gold. Where do I start with you? Do I first thank you for being the pillar of silent support that you are to your leader? Or do I thank you for the courageous evolution you have shown us from Gloss to Suga to Augusty? I'll start with the latter. As an underground rapper, you quite literally gave up everything to pursue your dreams. No support, nothing to fall back on. Watching you grow from a child who had the courage to follow his dreams to the man who's ready to just take on responsibility for those dreams has been inspiring. But there's more. At one point in your career, you were faced with a choice. A choice to appeal to thousands at the cost of the scorn of your peers, or a choice to stay back and strictly color within the lines your label as an underground rapper restricted you to. You chose the former. And the fact that you chose to fight for your dreams, once again, regardless of the platform, inspires me and millions of others. But what's more, the fact that you slowly but surely were able to truly embrace the tag idol gives me strength to embrace the tags society imposes on me as well. Like you, I too shall fight to ensure that I define my tag and that I don't let it define me. Your millions of fans will do the same. We thank you. And finally, please know that we are proud of you, not for your swagger today at the BBMAs, or for your savageness when you roast your team, or for the fierceness with which you love and protect your dumplings. Although we appreciate all of that too. We, and I in particular, are proud of you for fighting yourself every day. For fighting that voice in your head, the naysayer, the critic, the dark weight that weighs on your soul. Depression is such a small word to encompass all that you go through from the moment you wake up till the moment you can close your eyes again. I would know. For 4 years, I have had to do the same. As I'm sure have many of your fans. Watching you fight, watching you win, watching you shine with a blinding light, even if it is an everyday battle, tells us we can do the same. For that, thank you. And know that you are loved as you are. Please remember, you are more than your labels. You are stronger than that voice in your head. And we shall do the same. Jung Ho-seok, my brightest soul, do I even need to tell you how much strength your smile gives to those who love you? Probably not. As our hope, our heart, and our resident vitamin, you probably already know all of that. You also probably feel the weight of that responsibility, even though it wasn't one we intended to impose on you. Instead, let me tell you this. Your crazy antics and infectious smile are not the only thing that we armies draw strength from. We also always bask in that well-rounded confidence. I say confidence because what you have is more than mere mettle or resolve. It is courage and faith combined together. It is courage that allows you to experiment with your music. Did you really think we didn't notice all that jazz and blues influence in Mama? Despite, however, any of this experimentation gives fodder to your critics. The fact that they do so and that they seem to think that a skill that you worked hard for and nurtured is somehow less worthy than a skill that they believe they were born with is something that you live with, but it's not something that we fans don't see. We see it, and we thank you for having the courage to face it every single day. And it is that courage, I suppose, that we applaud. And at the same time, it is that faith that allows you to smile so brightly when fear paralyzes your insides that we are grateful for. You are, of course, known for how brightly you let your smile shine, but you are loved for much more than just that. Did you really think we would not see the steely determination that allows you to bend but never break? We see you, and you are loved, J-Hope. Always remember. Park Jimin, Chim Chim, Bias Wrecker. As magical as the Hyung line is, they are the line that break my heart the most. Why? Because in a way, they are the most damaged, the most broken, the ones who, as much as they love, don't know how to be loved. What's beautiful about BTS is that damage ends with you. Yes, the members peg you to be the scariest when mad, but even they recognize that the reason you are able to be so overtly reactive is because of how secure you are in your knowledge of being loved. If learning to love yourself was the message the rapper line was pushing in Cypher Part 4, it was one that was not lost on you. What's better is you didn't even need it. You play hard and work harder. You love fiercely and freely without fear or reservation. And what's more, you are brave enough to expect to be loved back by those who you love. Which is why it's you who teaches the rest of the boys and your fans that it's okay to do something with all of your heart, to fully engage, to be vulnerable, because to do otherwise would be to be mediocre. So thank you for reminding us that this fandom is much too fiercely loved to settle for being mediocre. Kim Taeyong. To Vogue's fashion-forward icon, where do I start? Do I tell you you're amazing? That your fans are super proud of how much you've grown into a generous and loving soul? Are you smiling? I hope you are. But let's start with something else. As someone who comes from a culture that is similar to Korea's own in terms of the Sunbae, Hubei love and respect tug of war, I find it amazing that you, as one of the youngest in the group, navigate the complex relationships so amazingly. You love and play with those younger and never forget to add in respect for those older than you. You remind me of Super Junior's Kim Hee-chul, who happens to be my bias. And trust me when I say, I do not say this lightly. I do not draw this parallel lightly. Your ability to connect with people is reflective of who you are as a person. You have the ability to listen, to genuinely show interest, to smile, and exude the positivity you have been raised with. You have been well loved, V. Thank you for loving us well in return. And finally, John Jungkook. Maknae! It's been a long journey, hasn't it? I can't imagine how it must be for you to know that this is the only normal you will ever know. It's amazing, but it can be a little tough at times, as I'm sure. But you know what they say. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And you, my love, are a tough cookie, aren't you? Sandamja. A real man. But let's leave that discussion for another day. Today, I wanted to talk about Baby Cookie, the one who was raised by a bunch of crazy youngs, but still managed to come out of his unorthodox upbringing as a pretty goddamn amazing person. Jungkook, your youngs have taught you to be humble, hardworking, and to chase your dreams. But you are the one who chose to learn. So for being humble in the face of ever-rising fame, thank you. For working harder than most of your peers when normal kids got to play without censure or complaint, we thank you. For living the dreams you had for yourself, as well as those we have had for you, thank you. Those of us here on the other side of the screen who have watched you grow, thank you not just for doing all of the above, but also for proving to everyone else that ARMY stands people worth standing. You, of all of the boys, probably don't need me to tell you this, but I'll do it anyway. You are loved. You are looked up to. You are held dear. BTS, remember today. Remember the good things, the happy moments, walking down the magenta carpet with people you don't know, walking down the magenta carpet with people you are in awe of. Remember how fast your heart beat when you spoke to the people whose music you grew up with. Remember the fans who stood out in the Vegas heat for you so that you would never walk alone. Remember the intensity before they announced your name. How hard you had your fingers crossed. How blessed you felt when you had the largest cheer, the loudest cheer. Remember these moments, because we will. Know that we are immensely proud of you. So all those little things you're cringing over or wishing you'd done better don't matter. It's okay to be imperfect. We've got your back. You boys stood there today on foreign ground with just each other and our voices in your hearts to keep you strong. And even then, when you were trying so hard to be circumspect and not stand out too much, the very first word out of your mouth was ARMY. We know that was no accident. We know it was no coincidence. We know, and we felt the love. Can you? If you can, do this one thing for us today. Reach out, link hands, close your eyes, and remember, this was your moment. This was when you started to truly become legendary. This may be the first of many, but it is the first. You stood there today amongst your icons, your idols and legends, and you did so as a peer. Tell yourself what you would tell one of us if we made it big and stood in a crowd with you. Tell yourself that you have earned this moment, that it is okay just this once not to worry or reflect, and instead to just love yourself like we love you. And we, in turn, will love ourselves just as you love us. Thank you.